A deadly Russian assault struck deep into Ukrainian territory, hitting a civilian passenger train, leaving 12 dead and several injured. The attack coming as new figures reveal the staggering human cost of this grinding war. Casualties on both sides, now approaching 2 million. President Zelensky, meanwhile, vowing a fierce response as the conflict enters its fourth brutal year.
Russia has launched one of the most fierce attacks on Ukraine. As Ukraine bleeds and Russia presses forward, civilians are again caught in the crossfire. Kyiv, Kharkiv, Odesa and Zaporizhzhia are burning. Ukraine says Russia launched Iskander missiles along with over 100 drones.
My good friends died, and it's a little difficult to talk about it. Thank God they had their little daughter sleeping on the first floor, and they, neighbors, were able to get her out right away.
A Russian drone hit a crowded passenger train in Ukraine's northeastern Kharkiv region. President Zelensky condemned the act as terrorism. Zelensky ordered Ukrainian forces to inflict massive losses on advancing Russian troops. Kyiv insists it is fighting for survival. Moscow says it proves Ukraine's intent. The rhetoric is as hard as the fighting. Behind the words lies a brutal reality. This has become a war of attrition. Russia has held the military initiative since early 2024, pushing forward with relentless assaults, drone swarms and missile barrages. Ukraine, outgunned and stretched, is digging in, striking back where it can, absorbing blows where it must. A new report from the Center for Strategic and International Studies warned that the number of soldiers killed, injured or missing on both sides of Russia's war on Ukraine could hit 2 million by the spring, with Russia suffering the largest number of troop deaths recorded for any major power since World War II. While there is no official figure released by either Kyiv or Moscow, one thing is clear, that the death toll is mounting as the war drags on. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
From Italy to Argentina, the world is witnessing a spate of environmental crises. Whether it's a cyclone or wildfire, the impact of climate change has come into focus once again. For instance, hundreds of people are feared dead or missing after attempting to cross the Mediterranean Sea, with multiple shipwrecks reported in the last 10 days. This is linked to a violent storm triggered by Cyclone Harry, and this left a wave of destruction in Malta, destroying agricultural land, fishing vessels, seaside restaurants. Cyclone Harry has also caused widespread damage in Italy, especially in its coastal areas. As per the regional authorities, meanwhile, the damage has exceeded $1.1 billion as the storm battered coastlines, ports and infrastructure. Additionally, more than 1,500 people had to be evacuated from an Italian town to do a landslide earlier in the day. The Italian Prime Minister inspected the area affected by the landslide and attended a meeting to assess the situation as well. Meanwhile, thousands of jellyfish appeared on beaches in Australia's Melbourne. A number of beaches have been closed as jellyfish stings are, of course, painful and potentially dangerous as well for young children, older people and those with allergies as well. This development is being linked to higher water temperatures owing to climate change. Jellyfish, which play a key role in the food web and environment, are now believed to be at risk. On the other hand, wildfires are raging in Argentina since the 5th of January this year, affecting more than 40,000 hectares of forests, grasslands, villages and tourist resorts. A local official explained that no snow during the winter season, coupled with unusually high temperatures and high winds, are fueling these fires.
That combination of factors meant that the fire had explosive impacts and advanced at an extraordinary pace. We have to remember this is dense forest with trees around 25 or 30 meters high. The fire essentially gained a life of its own.
The Syrian President, Ahmad al-Shara, is heading to Moscow as Russia moves to secure the future of its military bases in Syria. But it's not just Moscow that wants influence in post-war Syria. The US, for that matter, is also courting Shara, with President Trump praising his leadership and signaling strong support. And caught between two global powers, Syria is emerging as a key prize in a delicate region. At their previous meeting in October, the Russian president and Shara, remember, struck a conciliatory tone. It was their first meeting since Shara's rebel forces toppled Moscow ally and former President Bashar al-Assad. Russia's continued sheltering of Assad and his wife since their ouster has been a thorny issue. A little bit of background here. Russia was a key ally of the ousted President Assad during the bloody 14-year Syrian civil war, launching airstrikes on rebel-held areas of Syria that were controlled by Shara's Islamist forces. And Assad's toppling in late 2024 had dealt a major blow to Russia's influence in the region and laid bare the limits of Moscow's military reach as well, as it continues to fight a war with Ukraine. Since then, acting President al-Shara has been managing a rather delicate balancing act between both West and Russia in order to bring stability to his war-ravaged country. Shara has also embraced US President Donald Trump, who on Tuesday praised the Syrian leader as highly respected and said things were working out very well. The two spoke over the phone a day before the Syrian leader visits Russia. Trump's show of support contrasting with earlier threats by one of his key backers in the Congress, the Senator Lindsey Graham, who called for the U.S. to reimpose sanctions on Syria in response to this recent offensive. Shifting away from his threats, Graham on Tuesday instead credited Trump with restoring stability and demanded that Saudi Arabia use its influence on Syria to keep the region from falling further into chaos. Earlier, Syria's National Army had launched the operation to regain control over the country's northern east, where Kurdish fighters had created a de facto separate state during the brutal civil war. The operation ended with a ceasefire that has been described as fragile at the moment. The US had allied with the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces beginning over a decade ago to fight the Islamic State group, which had gained control over large parts of Syria and Iraq. But Trump envoy said this month that the partnership had outlived its usefulness and backed the Syrian government's efforts. The US has since helped move Islamic State prisoners held for years by the Syrian Democratic Forces to across the border in Iraq. Trump has ended sanctions and taken other steps to boost Syria at the urging of Shara's allies, Saudi Arabia and Turkey, and despite misgivings by Israel. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.